Tastes like COVID.
Oh, really? Delicious.
Tastes like the COVID. Hey, I noticed we don't have CNN on there. I don't know if we want to bring it up. Good morning, everybody. It's a busy day today because we're going to have my half-Asian lawyer in here. With some legal updates with Twitter. Been suspended.
Oh, no.
Again? And I don't know. It seems like it's indefinitely because every time I log in, it just keeps resetting to 6 days.
Really?
No good?
You know, listen, it's the least relevant of the platforms.
It's the only one I have any followers
We still
on.
have to make it sting. We'll be talking about that. We'll be talking about Governor Whitmer. We'll be talking about George Floyd. We'll be talking about the border crisis.
Golly,
and we will have Rand Paul on the show.
Damn.
And I'm going to ask him to tone down the cattiness a little bit.
Oh,
I don't want to go like, well, really, when we're giving puberty blockers to little boys. Like, well, you know what? Maybe we could give him a little bit of,
senator.
Little bit of testosterone attack.
Respect.
Hey, look, you hear that voice? That's the Hodge twins here, conservative twins on YouTube. How you boys doing?
Doing great, man.
Doing great, man. Life is good.
Is life good?
Yeah.
Oh, that's nice.
It's okay.
That's great.
Another day without a cop's knee on your back is a day above ground.
Hey, just don't break the law.
Just
Seems
You
simple.
ain't got to worry about that.
And when he tells you to just get in the car, get in the car.
Well, I don't know about that.
Oh, you had to go there, huh?
Yeah, don't get right into the car. Let's move that microphone a little closer to the Hodge,
The other twin.
the Kevin Keith.
Sorry.
Gerald A., how are you, sir?
I'm well. How are you?
This is a disaster.
This
off
is
the bat,
terrible.
'cause we have a
Already?
lot of guests here today. We have a lot going on in studio, and Quarter Black is here.
Good morning.
So we have some news to get to before we get to the legal update with the half-Asian Kraken. I don't know if you guys have been following this, Keith and Kevin. The entire Oakley School Board, California, Oakley, California, because I'm sure someone else is like, there's an Oakley, Oklahoma, and someone's like, me? No,
not you.
No, not you. No.
nobody cares.
Not
Just
this
like what is it? Egypt? There's like Egypt, Texas, or Cairo, Texas.
Yeah, there is.
Do you know there's a place in Texas called White Settlement?
Sound like
Sound
a
like
nice
a-
place?
Yeah. Sounds safe.
These are things we can't say.
I'm black, I get to say it.
Well, that's why we have you here today, because we're going to be talking about George Floyd, and I can think things that I can't say. Whoop. So, the entire Oakley, California School Board resigned. Did you guys know why? Let me show you, because of this clip.
Whatever, I wasn't doing anything bad. I honestly don't care about that part, but you know what? Are we alone?
Yeah.
All of
If
them
you're
are
going to
stupid.
call me out, I'm going to you up.
Have an vested interest in this process, and they don't know what we
Gets
do
better.
behind the scenes. And it's really unfortunate that they want to pick on us because they want their babysitters back.
Laura Lanier, just FYI, you guys have the meeting. Oh, we have the meeting open to the public right now.
Nuh-uh.
That's what Laura just said.
They're all stupid.
No.
Like no one can be a check or balance because they're all dumb.
Yeah. She looks pretty crazy, but she's not really going to F anybody up or anything.
That's the thing when women talk. Careful though, Gerald. She said if you test her, she will F you
Calling
up.
her out.
Yeah.
Fine.
So
I'm
that's
calling her out. Oh my God.
don't test them.
Son of a mother.
Yeah.
Okay.
What are you doing?
That's what you get, Gerald. That's what you get. That's what you get.
Whoa.
Thanks, Dad.
Oh.
Okay.
You just get your ass whooped.
And I couldn't do anything back.
Talk shit, get shot, fam. So,
Hey, I believe
That's how
in
it is.
equality. You hit me. I'm sorry.
I believe in equality entirely across the board, except when it comes to the military standards and push-ups. Then
true.
you ladies can do a lot less.
Dang.
Because we want to make sure that we send an equal amount of you out into the battlefield to die first.
Yeah.
Progress.
Front lines, here you go.
Yeah.
I want to be in battle. Okay, great. Do a pull-up. Nah. Well, you don't have to.
about a
Here's a
plank?
50-pound back. Let's see if you can do the jog and put the rest of your unit in danger. Thanks, sweetheart. Just be sure to strap down those kids so that they don't distract anybody. Imagine, we're considered sexist because we're like, no. We want the women and children to stay home while we protect them.
Safe.
Yeah.
Well, why don't you don't think that they're as capable out in the front lines? I do not. Why is that? They can't do one pull-up.
I rest my case.
I mean, I could build more of a case, but I
There's
don't
a
think
lot
I need
more.
Exhibit A through Z.
You don't.
No pull-up. I rest, Your Honor.
Yeah. Done.
Not all
They can
women.
hang.
Of course not.
Yeah, not all women. I knew a pregnant a friend of mine, Eric, who's out there watching, good friend of mine.
Yeah.
Looks like the guy from The Incredibles and Incredibles 2. You've met him.
Yeah,
He
yeah,
sells
yeah.
all the stuff. And his wife is a very small, petite Asian lady. And she did 6 pull-ups when she was 7 months pregnant.
Wow.
That's like a dip belt.
Like Courtney's strong. I would put Courtney in battle.
Courtney's
She'd be
insanely
fine.
strong.
Yeah.
Yeah. By the way, Courtney says speedy recovery with your surgery.
Yeah.
You should see her. She just had jaw surgery.
Oh, no.
She's like, her face is all puffy. She looks like every sibling interviewed in the true crime dramas. Like, I never expected that to happen and go down like that. He's a good man.
What is it with the
I
eyes?
don't know if you're trust. I don't know if that face is trustworthy. I can't do nothing about my face. This is the way my face is. What's wrong with the way I talk?
Okay.
It's not permanent, so it's okay,
no.
Courtney. Here's another one. A judge granted a motion to ban comparisons of George Floyd to Jesus Christ.
Oh.
Because so this was yesterday. Judge Peter Cahill granted the motion after a witness made the analogy in their. I think we have a clip, don't we?
Yeah.
Here, this is the analogy.
Your Honor, we would agree that specifically as worded, the court could grant this with respect to the, shall we say, parties identified specifically in that motion.
I have to ask, how did this even become a motion? How did this?
Is his
become a
mask
possible
stapled on?
answer?
Is that a turtle shell
I
ashtray?
think, Your Honor, one of our witnesses mentioned something like this. We do not. Really? Want to go into.
Oh my God.
Fair enough. You can prepare your witness by telling them that analogy absolutely will not come anywhere close to being admitted
Really understood, Your Honor.
under Rule 403.
Which brings me to today's question of the day. Again, the best thing you can do is comment for the YouTube algorithm. We'll have some
Yes.
other questions with Rand Paul. But is George Floyd, in fact, the second coming of Jesus Christ?
Hell no.
Listen, all opinions are welcome. However, if you answer anything other than then you're wrong. Okay. Hey, by the way, before we move on, you can follow me on Instagram, Louder with Credit. That's where you have some lifestyle stuff. I'm not banned there yet.
Not yet. Give it time.
And this is a live show Monday through Thursday, 10 a.m. Eastern. That's the best way to tune in. And next Tuesday is, what is it? It's March 16th? That's when we're doing the 1-year anniversary
Yay.
to celebrate the 15 days to slow the spread. So on Tuesday, tune
Did it,
in.
guys.
We will have all of the predictions, what came true, what didn't, which rights you gave up. Hint, it's all of them. And well,
They
aside from
didn't
abortion.
slow shit.
Yeah, yes. Aside from abortion, you can still have abortion up until and
Oh,
after
that's
birth
good.
in Virginia. Just make sure you let them swab you first.
Yeah, they didn't slow those procedures down.
We wouldn't want it to be an unsanitary, unsafe abortion.
Yeah.
Be sure to use some Purell on that coat hanger. So, also,
Keep it
send
safe.
your chat. People who are on the Blaze, Mug Club, loudofclair.com/Mug Club. What do you want us to talk about with Rand Paul? This is my question, though, too, is how do they ban, like at the George Floyd trial,
Yeah.
how do they ban an analogy saying that it's inadmissible as opposed to, actual evidence?
I don't know. I mean, the judge's eyes were all I needed on that.
Yeah. I think that means we have someone to answer. I think we have someone to answer this question for us. My half-Asian lawyer, Bill Richmond. With some updates. By the way, you guys are still on Twitter, right?
Yeah. Still, last time I checked.
Well, show little brother some
For
love.
now.
Let people know that we're on here. Hey, before we get into the Twitter stuff, what is that, the inadmissible when someone just says George Floyd is Jesus Christ? Because maybe they, in fact, think he's Jesus Christ.
Yeah, so federal and state rules of evidence that govern the trial, they have a rule in the 400s, Rule 403. It's about relevance. Relevance is defined as very broadly a couple of specific categories, but one of them is, does the prejudicial effect outweigh the probative value? And usually comparing someone who died in a criminal trial to a holy figure is going to sway the jury and not actually be evidence. So that's why you can say, I don't want you to make that argument.
Right. Okay. Is it just me or does his audio suck? Should we? Do you want me to do this like the old Johnny
I'm
Carson?
going to jump in there. Hey.
Yeah. So here, we'll just do it this way.
Let's get in there.
Does this work better? And you can shut off his
Yeah,
lob.
just
All right.
cut the
I'm
lob.
speaking across the microphone.
Hello.
So okay.
You're still fine. I can hear you good.
Update really quickly for people who don't know. So we were banned on Twitter. Let me make sure I get this right because I don't want to get sued.
Yeah.
I love my half.
I'm not about you to get sued. But yeah, okay.
I don't want to have to pay the retainer for that long.
Right.
No.
I sent a sign in blood too, which I thought was a little weird.
Yeah, that's a little much.
Yeah.
So on Tuesday, while we were live on air, I was locked out of my Twitter account, right? Banned for
Yeah.
12 hours. And what was the reason Twitter gave?
It was blank,
Right.
also known as none, also known as what the fuck.
Right. Yeah. Well, now this is going to be banned on YouTube. Then yesterday morning, just turn off his lav, and I'll work this for you because he sounds like he's talking in a pool. Like I said, today's a disaster.
Sizzly pool.
We didn't plan on being banned and slandered. Then yesterday morning, the suspension increased to 6 days, 21 hours, and then every time we log in, it's still 6 days and 21
Let me
hours.
correct you on that. It was actually 6 days and 9 hours.
Oh.
Then 3 hours later, it went up to 6 days and 21 hours.
Right.
Then for
That's
about
how time
4
works.
hours last night, it just froze.
Right.
And every time you would refresh, it would say, yes, you're still at 6 days and 10 hours. Oh, but 3 hours later, you're still at 6 days and 10 hours. And now finally, someone is letting it count down.
Right. Now, what was the reason given? Because there's three Twitter suspensions.
Yep.
And look, like I said, I just want to do my job.
Yeah.
Right?
Right.
But I have no idea. Do we know what it is that got me banned?
Well, you did get 3 emails, and every single one of them was that standard form email. Probably a lot of folks have seen it where it says you violated the rules, and then their form email has a spot there where they say exactly what it is. And in every one of those, they went ahead and told you the reason, specifically, : blank. No reason.
Now, is this some legal jargon that I'm not familiar with?
Well, it might be, but not in the United States of America.
No.
So maybe if you live in communist Russia or Venezuela, where the law doesn't matter, then maybe that might be a reason, but not here.
I think Venezuela. I think you mean socialist haven. And when you said Russia, you meant to say Bernie Sanders' honeymoon location.
Paradise.
I did.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
These people are running your government. Hope you like your stimulus.
So this is one of the things that's
Yeah, take it. I'm going to let you. I'll speak off mic because you keep having to adjust it here. So then I'll just ask questions from afar.
Okay, so here we've heard time and time again whether Jack Dorsey is in giving an Axios interview or he's in front of Congress or he's just tweeting
Chasing his volleyball.
Exactly. He just took a bunch of ayahuasca and he's up in northern Saskatchewan, out there learning to get with nature.
Yeah,
He
just chilling.
says over and over, we tell you what the reasons are.
Right.
We let you know what the violations are. We're upfront. We're clear. We uniformly enforce our policies, and that's the way it is. Except here, it's not just once. This is 3 weeks now with 3 separate alleged violations with not a single reason. But here's the thing. People out there will go, well, why do you need the reason? You can tell what post it was for, right? No. None of them are even connected to the post. That's it. It doesn't even say what post was the one that was violated.
And by the way, the only thing is I'll say hit the notification bell to people who are subscribed because notifications don't mean a whole lot before I give the mic over here back to Bill. And
Oh boy.
is that what's going on?
Hey, what's going on?
Hold on. Yeah, what's happening?
Hey, helicopter.
Hey, can we bring
It's
up
on
bring up
CNN.
CNN really quickly? Hold on, Bill.
I'm Lauren Fox on Capitol Hill, and this is CNN.
Is this?
This is CNN breaking news.
The hell?
Is that on roof?
What?
What's on the roof?
Is that Troy Jr.?
You can't say you want to pass! You'll never make me back, you bastard! Oh, but you're not gonna
Who is this guy? Is this
He's our intern, actually. You know Doc Choi. It's his son who interns here. Look, there's been a rise in anti-Asian hate crime.
Yeah.
You guys know. So there's a breaking point for everybody. Let's
Man.
be sure to check on him, though.
Wait for the facts, though. Wait for the facts.
Okay. So, Bill, my
not
lawyer.
close, is it?
Is this also in line with the law? And again, Twitter's own practices. But legally, where does this line up if they don't give a reason?
So this is exactly the point we've been making with other tech platforms. Y'all can set the rules however you want to set them, but if you're going to advertise and draw in consumers from the entire United States, the entire world, creators, people who are advertising and say, we enforce our policies in a certain way, and then you don't actually follow your own rules, that is anti-competitive. You've got one media company trying to hurt another media company, and it's deceptive. Literally, consumers are out there going, hey, no, they don't ban people without giving reasons. They don't enforce Twitter suspensions and then reset the clock 7 different times in a 24-hour period without saying anything. Who would do something? Twitter would do something.
Right.
Twitter is doing that something right now.
Yeah, but just like, I can't. I got to be careful because you're here.
Yeah.
What have you? You said that Jack Dorsey was trying to get with nature. Okay, listen, that's a layup. That's a layup for an analogy of him stooping a moose, and of course we don't mean it.
That's a hard stup.
Well,
especially in rutting season.
I mean, here's the
These are
thing:
big.
the moose is an innocent victim in all of
Yes,
this, right?
no,
I mean,
exactly.
let's
Really,
just be
yeah.
clear, okay? I don't want to, put consent on the moose when the moose is
No,
not
exactly.
consented.
Meese can't consent. So what have you done since I pay you so much? What have we done at this point? Because it doesn't feel good for me.
Right. So here's a couple of things. So let's go back to the one that was 3 weeks ago, which feels like a million years ago at this point, where they actually shortened the ban after we sent a notice. They didn't respond. They didn't say, oh, actually, here's where you violated. They didn't do any of that stuff. They just said, oh, okay, we'll shorten the 12-hour ban. Now, this time around, we've sent multiple legal notices. We've went through every platform appeal that's available, right? This is what they say. They go, well, there's always a way to be able to appeal it within the system. No, not actually true, but we went through and we found other ways to be able to do it. We've contacted their legal department directly. We've contacted their trust and safety department actually directly. And to this moment, until right before we're on air, still no response at all. They haven't even given us the reason at all.
Bill, are they outsourcing like to the same customer service team that Facebook uses? Because they do the exact same things. They just don't get back with you. They don't give you reasons for suspension.
It might be. I mean, it could be a call center in Omaha. It could be a call center in Calcutta. Nobody knows where they're actually subbing these out.
It's like all big tech. They all have the same issue.
Exactly. And every time they do one of these things, they go, well, you know, a sub of a subcontractor gave it to his cousin's dog, and like he hit the wrong button, right? But they did this same thing with a sitting president. They've done this thing across the board. They've had multiple instances of their inability to handle the kind of issues that are endemic to having a large platform. Essentially, what they're proving day in and day out is that they can't uphold their own policies at scale, which means if they can't hold the power responsibly, they can't have the power. They need to be held responsible. This kind of bad faith action is exactly what isn't protected by Section 230.
Right. Hey, can I say something?
Yeah.
What, 5 days ago, we got Harsh Twins TV, right? We got this long email. Pretty much they were saying we're inciting violence.
And we're horrible people.
Why would you do that?
I don't know.
It's terrible.
Our Harsh Twins TV is gone.
Deleted.
They didn't tell us which video violated policy any of it. They just gave this long list and never explained to us which video violated policy. No, this is Harsh Twins TV Vimeo.
It was a pay-per-view channel on Vimeo.
Because
Vimeo? Well, leave it to, it's the stereotype of the angry black man. It takes a while for them to be deprogrammed, even at Vimeo.
Yeah.
They wouldn't hurt a fly. Was one of those albino flies.
They're creating
Yeah.
rooftop Korean. See what happens?
Yeah, that's
dangerous.
yeah, and they won't tell us exactly what we did. They just said you're bad people.
Well, listen, don't give them an argument. I wouldn't use your defense. No.
Yeah.
Right.
So that's
what is the 230 thing? This is the thing. Look, because you have all these conservatives who they live for they just want to be. I was banned. I've not been banned. I've been suspended, and we've had people who've committed actual slander, libel on Twitter with people photoshopping swastikas, accusing me of everything under the sun, right? And nothing gets done, or it doesn't get done for a long time, and then you get locked out. I get locked out. I want to know what the rules are. Like with YouTube, for example, we said, okay, what are the rules? And the rules aren't what we initially thought the rules to be, because then they created 2, 3, 4 sets of guidelines. Now YouTube has community guideline violations, they have advertiser-friendly guidelines, and then they have borderline content. Well, who determines that? Nobody really knows. It's not really told. But at least they have some kind of a vague page, and they do answer. There is an appeal process. I would say this with YouTube, with the appeal process, it sucks when they're like, no, this is hate speech. But they tell you.
Right.
Twitter doesn't give any kind of a reason. So my point is, look, with this, if they can do it to someone like me, and I don't want to, but I'm not going to self-censor to the point of being dishonest on Twitter. And so if I end up losing it because I say, look, happy International Women's Day, I'm celebrating the brave and beautiful trans women of Saudi Arabia, if that's the reason, then they should take it up with Saudi Arabia, who, by the way, Twitter bans my tweets in Saudi Arabia sometimes because it offends the Islamic sensibilities.
Saudi Arabia. I mean, the number of notices we get that are about reviews. This is the thing.
Germany is a
You'll
big
get
one.
Germany all the
Pakistan,
time. I mean, there's a lot. We're at least at 25 different countries that Twitter has somehow found a way to actively and instantly determine whether or not it's violating those countries' laws. But yet they cannot figure out a way to let an American citizen for an American company know what was the post that created an alleged violation, or even what the reason was. This is what I'm saying over and over again, is that these companies have developed and created for themselves so much power that they're unable to actually exercise it in good faith. They simply can't. They can't even enforce their own rules or not enforce them in the right way. They've entrusted it to AI, to robots, to subcontractors, every instance. And this isn't just conservatives. This is happening to people across the board.
Yeah.
And yet nothing is being done to actually curb that, whether in Congress, certainly not happening under this administration, but also the question of the courts. And someone's going to have to step up. We're doing that action as well. But Twitter itself is now one of the ones that is the most egregious on this front. And I don't think Jack Dorsey and ayahuasca is going to do anything about it.
I don't know. Well, it depends. That moose might have some leverage. Oh. Hey, look at this picture of you mounting me. It's the same evidence I've always had. I just tweaked it a little. Here's the thing. What can be done for people who are old enough to watch Rocky and Bullwinkle?
Yeah, well, yeah.
Yeah, it's a classic.
By the way,
Everybody.
Rocky was.
Yeah.
He leaned certainly. Oh, Bullwinkle, you shouldn't look at that lady in that dress. Oh, I have rock hard antlers, Rocky. And then Boris and Natasha, the commies coming in, tying people to train tracks. Like that wasn't some sick role playing.
Classic.
Dudley Do Right. You've been a Mountie for 12 years. You don't know how to get on a horse not backwards.
It's difficult.
I'm retarded now.
So the best way, really, the best way at this point is you've got to vote with your clicks, your tweets, everything else like that. Whether you're sending a message, it's continuing to share stuff that they don't want to be shared. Share it as much as you can. Go ahead and like those folks who are doing it, or go find them on other platforms. Right. I mean, just the simple existence of Mug Club or other platforms that are making this happen, whether it's Parler, your Rumbles, your other things like that, they're where the advertiser are going, wait a minute, this is not an effective strategy. The only thing that apparently matters to them is their pocketbook. That's the only thing they're going to listen to, and we can affect it. Every one little tweet, maybe not by itself, but all of them together. So while we're taking the fight on the legal side, folks can take that side, whether they're sitting at home, whether they're in their grandma's basement, whether they're at the bus station, doesn't matter. You can get on those apps and make your voice heard.
Well, I think it's important, too, for everyone out there to understand Section 230. It was very interesting. Twitter sued Texas AG Paxton. Right. And they said that AG Paxton was leveraging them to try and infringe on their exact words, editorial decisions regarding what is on.
Editorial.
They used the word editorial.
They did.
So my question is, at that point, how do we juxtapose that with 230? Explain to people, I know we've described this ad nauseum, but the reason that these platforms are not held liable at all is because of 230, which if the New York Times, for example, just puts up something, they're held responsible. If it's slander, like if it says like, hey, Gerald beat me up in a bathroom stall with George Michael, right? If someone at the New York Times writes that, they can be held responsible. If someone puts it up on Twitter, well, they're not held responsible at all because of Section 230, but then they, in their own lawsuit, say, well, no one can infringe on our editorial guidelines, and it's all opaque.
Right. Well, it's one of the best analogies is, are you going to hold AT&T liable if a criminal decides to call on a cell phone that goes across an AT&T line, right? You're going to say, no, this is utility. Just because the city provided water, was the city now liable for the fact that that water was used to make the best meth in the country? No, not at all. So what we're looking at now is a question of, are you more like...
There's a reason that Great Lakes still has the crown for meth.
Great
Lakes water meth.
The pH is on point. But... What are they now closer to? Does AT&T, does the water company, do they exercise editorial functions? Do they selectively decide on a guideline basis who are going to be their customers? No. You sign up, you pay the bill, you're in. But when you look at the New York Times, they look, they edit, they decide, they cut, they have guidelines for what they're going to put on there. They have whole teams that are doing that, and that's when you now look at what is more of these platforms. What are they more like? Are they more like the utility that's letting anyone go, say anything they want, and we're just providing the vehicle for it? Or are you coming in and actually exercising editorial function? Use their own words exactly like you said. This, again, isn't about we're telling you how to run your business. This isn't saying the government should come in and run your business. It's run your business in an honest way. And if you were honestly editing, you're honestly held liable for it.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
Now, look, I don't want, and Gerald, you have a question?
Yeah, well, the analogy actually gets worse, Stephen, like you said with the New York Times. With Twitter.
With the moose?
It gets even worse. Okay. So it's like the New York Times putting out that story and then blocking my account, the Twitter blocking my account and saying, you can't, right? That's what happens. And they could just...
Wait. Twitter blocked your account?
No. I'm saying it would be like that.
He always gets screwed. I would believe it. I would believe it if they blocked your account.
No. I'm saying that's what it would be like. It's like the New York Times tweeting out a story about me that's false that I should be able to sue them over, and then Twitter locking me out of my account so that I can't defend myself.
Right, yeah.
Right? That's exactly what it's like. That's what Twitter is doing when they block people for, 12 hours. Oh, it's just a couple of days. Oh, we'll fix the problem. No, this is strategic. You're doing this stuff on purpose.
Yeah. Or at least it's very coincidental. Look, Half Asian Bill, I know you have to get going.
Yep.
My final question here is, look, I don't want to, because please join Mug Club. I don't have.
We don't like getting banned.
I don't
It's
want
not
to
good.
have to sue Twitter. We're doing the Facebook lawsuit, which I know we can't do. We can't give you a bunch of updates right now, but the wheels are in motion. What do we do with Twitter? What are we gonna? What's
So
on?
it's
Is everything on the table?
So everything's on the table. All of the options are available. But this is I will tell you, and most good lawyers will admit that the legal system should be the last resort. And unfortunately, Twitter is essentially pushing us to say you better go to the last resort because Congress doesn't do anything. The president's not doing anything, not going to do anything. The vice president, who's really in power, isn't going to do anything. The state legislatures they're trying. You still look at these various states that are trying to enact legislation to try and do something about it. Thank God that they're doing that. But really, ultimately, we're going to have to figure out all the ways we can do it. Speaking of, I'm going to get out of here to go work on it. I got to go suit up.
Go suit up.
Do it.
Thank you, Half for you. Have a bill. I have music in my ears.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know what? I will say,
song.
sorry, I know you need to readjust it for, is he going to,
Yeah, he's leaving.
Oh, he's going to, okay, sorry, he's got to go suit up. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Gotcha.
Hey, Bill, what's going on? You just told Steven you're going to suit up. You already had a suit on for the whole show.
Yeah, when you're in a battle with big tech, you got to have the best protection out there. There's only one name I trust: Spartan Body Armor. They're the leader in ceramic, steel, concealable, rifle rated. Most of their products are NIJ certified, which is the best certification out there. And when you've got a target this big on your back, you got to make sure it's protected.
Well, that's true. That's nice. And by the way, they are a wonderful sponsor. If you go to SpartanArmorSystems.com and enter the promo code Crowder, you get 10% off. It really is one of the most trusted. And by the way, this thing is so light.
Yeah.
Up to 44 Magnum.
You almost can't even tell.
Proof.
That's 44?
Yeah, and people don't even know that I've worn. Sometimes I wear it and you can't even see it. And people just say, "Damn, he looks jacked." It's like, no, it's a Spartan armor underneath my shirt.
Why do you sleep in it though? That's odd.
That's because
comfy.
I find the feeling of Kevlar against my skin incredibly erotic.
Ah.
It's like Jack Dorsey with moose fur.
I don't know why you went that way.
Do you guys have any body armor stuff?
Nah.
Dude, we can send you some.
Oh, yeah, I'd love to have
Yeah,
some.
especially you guys, the riots.
You guys need it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Listen, they need. I don't understand how some legislative bodies want to ban something that's defensive.
Yeah.
It
They
doesn't
want
make
to ban that?
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
it's been banned in many places. Yeah.
For what?
Defending yourself.
It scares people. When they see you walking around with this, you must be up to no good.
Yeah. I think their argument is that it makes you more capable of inflicting damage without receiving it.
Okay.
I think that's their argument.
So it needs to be like a gentleman's duel. Each
Yes.
person can die.
Right. With the cops who you shouldn't trust, but you should call because you're not allowed a gun when someone is raping you.
That's
And
difficult.
they also
Let's see.
get the vests.
By the way,
Or not you.
police response times they vary across the country.
Yeah.
But one of the best police response times that I know of was in El Segundo, California, when I lived there, and it was like a minute and a half, which sounds really good. Little known fact: when you're being raped brutally and repeatedly, a minute and a half feels like a lifetime.
Oh.
Yeah.
An eternity.
That is a long minute and a half.
Yeah.
SpartanArmorSystems.com, enter the promo code Crowder. Okay. The head of border, this is another story here, the head of border security, before we get to Rand Paul. And again, people on Mug Club, send in your questions. Why are you kicking your brother there? What's going
He
on?
just told me to wake up. I'm like,
Yeah, I asked you when you came in if you needed some caffeine.
I'm awake.
And you said you'd
I
prefer
got
some
a
crack.
Coke over here.
Whoa.
No, come on.
That's some Coke.
We do
No.
we do meth.
Okay.
You guys do crack. And then we all do heroin.
what I was
I
trying
want
to
the
say.
white man stuff. I want the good stuff. I want the cocaine.
No.
I want no damn crack.
No. Meth is not the good stuff. It's not cleaner than crack. It's just that the poor white man is more responsible with his money.
Well, it doesn't care about his teeth very much.
Doesn't care about his teeth.
Not at all.
Yeah, no, exactly.
Very English of you.
Weston Price. So, Trump to Biden has been trending everywhere. And we want to get to Whitmer in a second, then Rand Paul, which I'm really looking forward to. But the head of border security, is it the head of border security? I don't know, Roberta Jackson, I see this person all the time, claimed that the border crisis is because of Trump's lack of humanity, which was discouraging people from coming, which, by the way, listen, before I even get to the next part, I'm okay with. And then later in the clip, though, she went on to admit that it actually was Biden's fault. And I know you think that I'm making this up, so I have the clip right now of Roberta Jackson sandwiched together.
It's a coincidence that as soon as Trump and his immigration policy were on the way out and Biden and his stated policy were on the way in, this historic surge at the border started?
Well, first of all, one of the things I think is important is we've seen surges before. Surges tend to respond to hope. And there was a significant hope for a more humane policy after 4 years of, pent-up demand. So I don't know whether I would call that a coincidence, but I certainly think that the idea that a more humane policy would be in place may have driven people to make that decision. But perhaps more importantly, it definitely drove smugglers to express disinformation, to spread disinformation.
That's the moment where she realized
about
she screwed
what was
up.
now possible.
And
We know that.
If the change in administrations brought hope, then from your perspective, is this surge good?
I don't think that's what I just said. I think it's a reflection of how migrants feel at a particular time.
You see that lady? By the way, that's unfortunate.
That's
you know what? I've watched, and I don't always watch the clips. I read a lot of the time, so sometimes I don't see the clips of these people. But that's Roberta Jackson, right? Head of.
It's actually Jacobson. That was a typo.
Oh, it's Jacobson.
Not Jackson.
Sorry,
Okay.
that's right. Why was I saying Jackson?
That was me. Sorry.
I don't know. I got two black guys here. Jackson's a common name.
Stop it.
Easy to mix it up.
It's not even a joke. Didn't we? Didn't I pick out an O lineman and Steven knows sports
did.
by just saying
Jackson?
I said Marcus Jackson. It was like, name me one
Dude, it was
O lineman in
spot
the
on.
NFL, and I said, let me pick the name of a large 350-pound black man with an under 540, and Marcus Jackson is actually a person.
Yeah.
So that's what I was thinking of.
Unbelievable.
It's not racist.
I would have went with Tyrone Jackson.
Well, you did it with a soccer player too, right? With Silva. I
Yeah,
think
it was
you did
Silva.
Thiago
Yep,
or
Thiago
somebody.
Silva.
Yeah.
But no, that was so. I just watched that clip for the first time, and I realized, it's unfortunate, but I did recognize her from somewhere.
Thankfully, we're in a good position still, fiscally speaking.
Oh,
well, there you go.
Jeez.
Some turkey action.
So this is what's great about this, by the way. And this is a, comment. Another question of the day, of course, is George Floyd Jesus Christ?
Yeah.
But
Maintain
another
that.
one here is, let's say, because Donald Trump, when they say was a lack of compassion.
Right.
But what's the lack of compassion? It's people, it's referring to these countries, for example, as shithole countries, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that was considered racist, but then we say, look, there's this pent-up demand. Hold on a second. Wait, Jacobson. Pent-up demand from what?
Yeah.
Why would there be pent-up demand if they don't live in shithole countries, right? There would be no pent-up demand to leave them. So they said, okay, that's racist. And then Donald Trump said, well, look, you're saying they're not shithole countries. Let's send them back. Let's not allow them to come in here in record numbers. What's a lack of compassion? Putting up a border wall, enforcing our own immigration laws like every other country. You want to find out who's really nationalistic and racist? Go down to Mexico, ask them how they feel about Hondurans and El Salvadorians.
Yeah.
Can we build a
No.
wall?
We don't want. Did you build a wall? We don't have money. We shoot them.
I mean,
sometimes we just put landmines on the road, so we blow them up in their van. It's a caravan. It's boom.
Since when were you supposed to give people breaking the law hope?
Yeah.
When was that? But
Yeah.
You see El Chapo, I see hope.
Yeah, exactly. It's like bank robbers going in, and there's a lot of bank robberies now. And that's actually because we removed all of the security features, and I guess it gave them hope that they would make it out alive with money.
Yeah.
Back to you.
Empty out your cash register.
All right.
Me seeing a dreamer over there. Ow, you little rascal. You hopeful little bitch. No.
Got a bright future.
I'm just so fed up with this. I think it's hope and humanity. Really? Okay. So what's the hope now? The hope, and by the way, you're putting more people in cages.
Record numbers. I saw that. I think
It's
yesterday.
unbelievable to me. I don't know when it became considered
Detainment
racist,
facilities.
when it became considered inhumane to simply send people back.
Disney El Paso, Steve.
To their non-shithole country, to their wonderful country, which, by the way, sees the same record number of would-be migrants to places like Mexico because it's a shining beacon of hope for all to see.
You know what, Stephen? It's
beautiful.
We had a show in United Kingdom. We was on immigration hold for 2 hours. They put us in cages and everything, right?
Well, rightfully
we
so.
actually had to pay like $1,800 some odd dollars. We had 2 show schedules.
Yeah.
Sold out. I was coming from the United States. The United States is not a shithole. We went there. They said we didn't have the right visa.
Detroit.
Yeah.
It's getting there.
That's shithole.
So they said you needed a visa.
Yeah, our visa wasn't correct. We had to pay $1,800 just to be able to stay to do our shows.
Yeah,
Oh,
even
really?
though we're sitting beside each other, we couldn't talk to each other.
Really?
What? What is this?
Well, how'd they make
kindergarten?
that happen?
I don't know.
Did they put like glass up between you?
No,
two?
we're just sitting there looking at each other like, okay, he's not looking.
What are we going to do?
What, did they think you guys were Islamic?
No,
They
they
probably
said,
did. Did you have the beard?
They knew who we were. They said they were fans.
Yeah, they thought we was. They said that we was going to stay in that country and get on welfare. I was like, you people are so racist.
What?
Say that really?
Wow. No.
Yeah.
They
We had to
think
sign
you were
documents saying we was not going to stay and get on their welfare.
Listen, you're welcome to stay in our country, love, so long as you don't marry into the royal family. And please, let's just have you not speaking with each other. We don't need any chance of Allah. By the way, Mecca's that way.
Yes.
Actually, the other way.
We don't need any black babies in this royal family.
Aren't you a gorgeous bit of dark chocolate? You little Cadbury eggs. Sign this here saying you want to be a drain on our system as many minorities are. What? It's okay to say here in the UK we don't have as many blacks. I experienced that crap in Canada too. You people don't realize this in Canada, in Quebec, they're racist.
Whoa, you people.
They're very racist.
You people.
What do you
did I
mean
say?
by you people?
Did I just say you people? I meant black people. No, with French Canadians, you people. So they are racist with black people. With all black people. I am trying to say French Canadians are often very racist. Now they're not racist in the sense that they hate black people. They're just racist in the sense that it's okay to stereotype. So they'll be like, you'll be talking with them, and I'm like, hey man, you Americans, you're so racist. That's the problem. You're like, yeah, no, listen, I think that's horrible. It's wrong to hate. You know, everybody has to be equal. Yep. And blacks are lazy as fuck, man. Like, you know,
like right in the next sentence. You're
I
like,
swear to you. So there's the Ligue des Langues, I think is what it's called. People can fact check me that we have some Montreal fans there who want to get out. Sorry, I can't get you all on work visas.
Yeah.
But
No caravan coming from there.
So they have the language police in Canada. People don't understand this. When people talk about discrimination in the United States, I say, well, you know, I faced some systemic discrimination in Canada. They go, well, what do you mean? You're white. I go, it's a French province in an English country where I was forced to go to French schools. Just because my mom was born in Quebec. If you have one parent born in Quebec, you have to go to French school. They thought I was learning disabled until through a loophole I was allowed to learn geography and math in English.
Thank goodness.
If I wanted to open Stephen's Diner, 'S, I would be fined out of existence because it's not French, right? So they call this thing pure laine is the term. That literally translates to pure wool. A purity test, racial purity, where they only want pure European blooded French people.
sounds like Nazi Germany.
Right, well, it's not.
a little bit.
Close.
It's not. You know, the worst is you get some looks and someone with a rat tail, you know, telling you to get out, man. Go up there to Gaspé with the moose and Jack Dorsey, okay? We know. Gonna have a spit roast, you too. So, then what happened is they created this because they were trying to expel all the English people from Quebec. And so a bunch of Haitian people started migrating to Quebec because they're French. And they're like, oh, yes, no, man, we can't have that. So then they started trying to get rid of the Haitians.
There goes the neighborhood.
Yeah. Oh, hell.
Man, I don't want people from, how you call it, that shithole country. No. We don't want that.
They're just seeking asylum.
Yeah.
Yeah, dreamers.
Hey, yeah, you too. Hey, me, you come here, me too. I'll seek asylum because all the Haitian darky gonna make me crazy, man. And they don't realize it's racist.
Yeah.
Anyway, speaking of this right now, the disaster at the border. Trump responded. I missed that man already.
Yeah,
I know.
his response.
So this is his response yesterday. Here, let me take a little bit of. When is Senator Rand Paul going to be coming
It's
on?
gotta be soon, right?
Yeah, in about 20 minutes.
20 minutes. Okay, good. So we can do our Whitmer segment. And by the way, send in your questions for Rand Paul. So yesterday, President Trump released this. I think he said, I hope everyone remembers when they're getting the COVID-19 (parentheses)
So
often
good.
referred to as the Chinese virus vaccine. That if I wasn't president, you wouldn't be getting that beautiful shot for 5 years. That wonderful hole-in-one shot.
So good.
At best, and probably wouldn't be getting it at all. I hope everyone remembers. And you know what? Here's the thing. He's not. He's not wrong. Is
he's
this?
back.
Are we,
He's
can we
back
go back to CNN?
Oh.
What is that? What is that? That's Troy Jr. What is he saying? He'll never
never
go
going
back.
back.
Where?
I don't know what he's talking. He'll
Can
never
we
go
do
back.
research on that?
I think we got some right here. Let me pull it up.
Oh, yeah. We need to be better about our background checks.
Wow.
Here at the office.
Those are some good tats on it.
Yeah.
Why did the
I wonder where
Hodge
he
twins
went.
get a background check and not Troy Jr.?
Because he's Asian.
For obvious reasons.
He seemed like a nice kid.
But Donald Trump's not wrong. Think about this for a second. Joe Biden, every Democrat opposed Operation Warp Speed. And that's why I'm not anti-vax. People say you're anti-vax. Look, I'm not anti-vax at all, and I'm not even anti this vaccine.
Yeah.
I know some of them have been used apparently embryonic stem cells to be developed, and in which case I'm just morally, ethically, I'm against that kind of medical experimentation because you can use adult stem cells, right?
Yeah.
However, I just have weighed the risk rewards for someone like myself, where the side effects are ironically, in some of the vaccines, worse for someone who's young and healthy, worse in some cases than the virus itself. And I think that older people who are susceptible, like I've always said, we should be quarantining them, we should be locking them in Buffalo Bill's basement. All old people, out of humanity and compassion, they should get the vaccines first. That's all it is.
Yeah, absolutely. And you remember everybody who came out when Donald Trump said, yeah, we're going to have this in October, November, something like that.
They said no way.
Maybe before the election. They said no way. And they also said, Kamala Harris, I believe we've covered it several times, saying, I'm not going to take Donald Trump's vaccine.
Yep.
Like he was, pouring beakers into each other in his basement, creating these things. Right?
Was breaking Trump.
Yeah, exactly. He's just reminding people. And by the way, I think we've stumbled onto a fun character. You started out in like a Jack Black / Donald Trump voice.
Yeah,
that could be kind of fun.
Oh,
maybe.
That could
Crossover.
be interesting.
He'll play him in the... Listen, Betty, I'm going to play him in the biopic. Mike Pence, get in here! This is remarkable that, again, this would not happen if not for Operation Warp Speed. Because let's just look at this really logically. Let's be reductive. That's reductive. Just like I said about women can't do pull-ups, so they shouldn't be on the front lines. I'm okay with it. So let's be reductive with this. Operation Warp Speed meant removing government bureaucracy, red tape, allowing more medical developments to happen at warp speed. So who typically supports deregulation, removal of red tape, while allowing personal accountability, holding companies responsible, as opposed to having the FDA put a vaccine on the shelf for 9 years because it might give you a slight tummy ache, giving the right to the consumer and a speedier path to market. Does that sound like a conservative idea? Or does that sound like Joe Biden's idea? There's a reason Joe Biden, Kamala Harris, and Cuomo said they wouldn't trust the vaccine. And by the way, now they want you to all take it immediately. And again, I just want people to be able to take the vaccine if they want it.
Yeah, and if you're confused as to who does this better, just point to any other vaccine in history that's been developed and rolled out in less than a year. Just point to one.
Right.
Yeah.
I have no idea.
I'll wait.
Is there one?
There's not.
Do you know how long it took to build the Empire State Building?
How long?
Do you guys know this? Because remember the World Trade Center? It took about 12 years for them to put something up.
Yeah.
After.
Yeah.
Empire State Building, 10 months.
Really?
Wow.
Yeah, someone in the control room can find it there. I might be off by a month or two. It was under a year.
Under a year. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, some people plummeted to their death with their lunchboxes.
Well,
Don't get me wrong.
I mean,
It happens.
Before we thought safety
It's a little
first.
too fast, I think.
Throw enough
That's
bodies
exactly
at those,
what they thought.
Throw enough bodies at those 140-story steel beams, you get it done.
What do you think hit first, the body or the lunchbox?
Well, I don't. Terminal velocity is reached at a certain point, no matter what. It just depends on how quickly they reach terminal velocity.
Did they
Kinda
still have a
jokey,
sandwich in the box or no?
I have no idea. That's a good question. Is there a drink in the box? Because
That's a lot of weight.
either way,
They have a
if you have-
thermos?
either way, you have some time to think about it.
That's what I would hate the worst.
Yeah,
Just gotta think about it for you.
you have to inhale for your second scream.
You know what you need?
Oh boy,
Still falling.
I kind of really. I should have conserved energy. I've still got a while here.
Maybe I should take this time to tell people to put a rope on so this doesn't keep happening. It's a really good idea that
Maybe
we all
some
have on the way
safety
down.
measures.
How about some carabiners?
Yeah.
You might as well have your
that's
lunch
good.
on the way down.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is from the Empire State Building website. It's a little bit more than 10 months, but it was just 1 year and 45 days.
Oh,
1
okay,
year
so
and
just over
45 days. All right. Well, I think you guys are wrong. I think that might have been the finishing
Empire
touches.
State's wrong?
I don't care about the crown molding in the Empire State Building.
That's true.
Could I walk through the building? That's how long. 10 months.
Or could you fall from the very top?
Yeah.
You know.
Why do you this is a dumb question. Why do you think people scream when they fall from a tall building? I would just be like,
Yeah. I don't know.
I guess they like ease the
It's
like
something to do.
anxiety. Like ah! It just eases
Yeah,
the
yeah.
anxiety of the whole
Yeah.
issue, you know?
Yeah.
Make
Not
yourself
sure.
feel
It
good.
doesn't sound very easing. They don't look very calm.
It's releasing. That's what it is.
What do you want
Yeah.
him to do? Sing a James Taylor song while they...
Yeah. The guy's probably complaining. My wife put mayonnaise again on the sandwich. I can't
Damn it,
believe
Sally.
First falling from the building and then this.
In my mind, I'm gone to Carolina.
There you go.
Nope. It's Carolina.
And then he lands. Still hurts. James Taylor was wrong. All right.
By the way, thanks for making those buildings. Yeah.
Because I'm free. Free falling. Tom Petty was a dick, man. So, Governor, speaking of Cuomo, by the way, let's go to Governor Whitmer. Sometimes it does feel good to be a little, actually, I don't want to say good to be vindicated because this is horrible. Seniors have died at record numbers there in Michigan. Michigan is worse than New York, I believe, in a lot of ways. Certainly in principle, and I'll get to that in a second. But now that everyone's talking about Governor Cuomo, it has brought Governor Whitmer back into the spotlight. And for people who don't remember, we've been covering this for a very long time. This is what's so funny to me when people have been saying with Governor Cuomo, they've been going, how did this go on and nobody noticed? Okay, people noticed. You decided to ban the stories from social media and big tech. Do you want to know? You want to know why people didn't notice? And by people, I mean you dumb son of a bitch. The reason that you didn't notice, not our audience, but the rest of the audience, rest of the people in America, the reason you didn't know is because of for the same reasons that I've been suspended from Twitter for 6 days without any reason or cause. The Hunter Biden story of him doing crack with his niece nude in a stand-up shower at the Andaz. I don't know. I don't want to besmirch the good reputation of the Andaz, nice hotel. But the point remains, I'm creating a mental picture. For the same reason that post was punted from social media, you never know about it because they control the flow of information. People like us, people like Rush Limbaugh, God rest his soul. There were plenty of people covering the Cuomo situation. There weren't so many people covering the Governor Whitmer situation, but that's just because not a lot of people had access to the information, and Michigan doesn't come to the front of your mind when you're thinking about major states with incredible corruption. So it's a state that's near and dear to my heart. Born there, lived there for another 7 years recently. I love it. I love the state of Michigan, and I just hate the people. Mostly not all the people. The ones who elected the lady whose stockings will undoubtedly roll up under a house.
Hopefully.
So
Monday.
on Monday, Macomb County Prosecutor Peter Lucido, do I have that name right? It's not Jacobson?
Yeah.
Peter Lucido announced that Governor Whitmer may be facing actual criminal charges. We have a clip.
If we find that there has been willful neglect of office, if we find that there's been reckless endangerment of a person's life by bringing him in, then we would move forward with charges against the governor. Of course we would. Nobody's above the law in this state.
Especially not when Pugsley Adams enforcing it.
Pugsley Adams?
It's probably too white of a reference.
It's Wednesday. And, no,
maybe
never mind.
You
Never
seem
mind.
like more of a Munsters guy.
Yeah.
So Monday, also, Charles LaDuff filed the final complaint in the case against Whitmer. Here's the thing. Most people know about, obviously, Cuomo's nursing home scandal. Right? With even AOC calling for an investigation. And if AOC calls for an investigation into a Democrat governor, he must be doing something really bad. Yeah. Okay? That's not just like a little bit. Like if AOC is polling everyone in the state party saying, all right, have the tides turned. Right. Let's investigate Cuomo. Yeah. But a lot of people don't realize that Whitmer is actually a lot worse than Cuomo, again, in practice, because her policies actually ended up putting not just returning old people who were sick to old folks' homes, young people, young sick people into old folks' homes. Here's an episode that we did on it half a year ago. This is the man who was beating an old person in an old folks' home in Michigan. In case more than half a year. Clip. Okay. All right. That's enough. Horrible, right? Yeah. Listen, it's still tough for me to watch today.
Yeah.
That guy, that old man, by the way, that old man ended up starving himself to death.
Yeah.
He became depressed, starved himself to death. I remember when we first covered the story, we didn't know that was the reason that young man was in the nursing home. COVID.
Yeah. I thought it was a worker, somebody beating him
like
up
a
at
nurse
some
or
point.
something.
But no, it was just it was a guy who had COVID that was put in. That was a young guy.
Right. And
Shouldn't have been
even
there.
his dad said, my son should not have been there. He said, I don't know how many balls were dropped for this to happen. My son should not have been there. And while the media was ignoring Whitmer and fawning over Cuomo, we were the first ones to really sort of bring some national attention to it. And by the way, see, Michigan, this one is specifically for Michiganders out there. Folks in Michigan, what do you think has happened to your state? Honestly, I mean, people think of the Midwest as the heartland of the country.
Yeah.
There's been no accountability for this broad. Can I say that?
I think you can.
I mean it in disrespect.
Yeah, definitely.
We even went, and then hold that thought, but so for people who don't remember, we went to Michigan and held a rally with thousands of people, and that resulted in thousands of FOIA requests, which we'll come back to because that's relevant right now.
Let me say in no uncertain terms, Governor Whitmer, her policies have directly led to untold deaths of Michigan seniors, thousands, and you have been, at worst, deliberately misled, and at best, deliberately misled about those numbers. Michigan's tracking, and it's the only state with these comparable states, doesn't include assisted living facilities, adult foster care facilities, or homes for the aged. In Michigan, it's 34% coming exclusively from some nursing homes. You know how many of those are? 1,967 deaths coming from about 440. How many currently active licensed facilities are there in Michigan? Over 10 times that amount, folks. I say this, President Trump, if you are watching, that I and the people of Michigan all would like to say in unison, Governor Whitmer, you want to conduct that investigation? Donald Trump for mishandling COVID? All right, sweetheart, you first. Michigan, I love you. God bless. Let's make it happen.
And by the way, the only coverage of that was there were a couple hundred people who showed up, and then did any of them try to kidnap Whitmer? That was the only coverage. So that's why you haven't heard about it. And I've never done a rally like that, ever. I have a 97-year-old grandma in Michigan who's been directly affected by these policies. Friends have been directly affected by these policies. And by affected, I mean dead. So matters to me. And this is the problem with 4 companies controlling the town square. People die. Sure, I get banned because I point out the obvious fact that it's child abuse to put a 4-year-old on puberty blockers. You know, tomato, no dick. But it can actually get to the point where information that could save people's lives doesn't get out, and so you have politicians who are no longer accountable, and people die. There was a bipartisan bill in Michigan, by the way, to put a stop to this, and she vetoed it. Democrats and Republicans said, you've got to stop doing this. No. Under the guise of emergency powers.
Well, the reason is because you care about the seniors that are actually affected by this, and what it seems like Governor Whitmer cares about is her image and what people think of the state of Michigan and her job of it, because her star is rising, or at least was before all of this happened. But if you look at the numbers according to the CDC per 100,000, so per capita, they're the 11th worst state in the country in vaccination, and they're blaming the former administration. By the way, as of the time of this article that we're going to get to in just a second, there were 70% of the vaccines that were sent there were just sitting in hospitals.
Well, yeah. So this is what. So that was back then. We were just talking about the nursing home deaths. And by the way, you can still go to lottocutter.com/Whitmer death toll. So this got trending. There were thousands of signs put up in Michigan where you can submit your own FOIA request, right, just to find out the actual death number, because it's far higher than is being disclosed.
Way higher,
we know that it's way higher. Governor Whitmer she punted it. She said, I don't have to do it. Why? Under the guise of emergency powers. Okay, well, those are going away. They were just stripped from Governor Cuomo. Let's see that happen with Whitmer, and then she'll have to at least answer some questions. But let's go through the misdeeds that have been committed since then. Like you said, back then, just record number of old people who she was snuffing. And in October, she ignored the Supreme Court's order striking down her months of executive orders, saying that the emergency powers were necessary. She, again, denied the FOIA requests. Like I said, Cuomo has been stripped of those, so that gives us a path moving forward now where, no, you can't shut down churches, keep pot shops open, and not disclose the numbers of nursing home deaths. And then here's, I think we have a clip of what you were talking about. No, if you want to understand Whitmer, okay, I picture a non-Whitmer, and I remove all reason and accountability. Because here she is blaming all of it on, you guessed it, Donald Trump.
The feds are slow walking the process of getting the addresses to Pfizer for some reason I cannot get an answer to. We have Michigan hospitals and nursing homes ready to administer this vaccine, and the bottleneck appears to be the White House.
What was that?
appear.
We got Rand Paul.
Okay, well, hold on. Let me just wrap this because Rand Paul's going to want me to point out Governor Whitmer. By the way, she fashioned Ted Nugent's guitar strap into a shirt.
It's not a bad job.
So she blamed it on Trump, but once Trump was actually gone, Whitmer failed to allocate enough vaccines for seniors. She didn't allow vaccines for 65-year-olds until January 11th. Wow. And as of January 1st, only 25.7% of the vaccines supplied by the federal government had been administered. She's just letting it sit there. Just last month, she quietly extended restaurant limitations until March 29th when they were set to expire on February 21st. I know several restaurants that will never open again, one of which employs 19 people. But Fight for 15 shut down the restaurant, and she originally eased up on the restrictions. This is what's so telling. She eased up on the restrictions 2 days after Biden's inauguration.
Oh. Wow. That makes sense.
Yeah, that makes absolutely sense. You know, we have a clip here, but I don't want to have Rand Paul continue waiting. It's just a propaganda clip of Governor Whitmer doing a Santa Claus thing to try and teach kids to be communists. Yeah. However, you can still go to loudwithcreditor.com/Whitmer death toll or michigan.gov. We have the site up here where you can submit your own FOIA request, simply wanting transparency in the actual number of senior deaths that those facilities in Michigan. Keep her accountable. This is how you win. I believe that we have coming up right now Senator Rand Paul. Do we have Senator Rand Paul? I think we have someone sitting there waiting. So as we wait for Senator Rand Paul here, again, we want to take some of your questions. Do we have a stinger for Rand Paul? No, we don't. Okay.
A Senator Stinger, like a walk-in song?
Well, I was going to say that we can play the Santa clip, but instead, let me tell you, there's several reasons I want to have Rand Paul on. First off, he is the candidate I agree with most who also aggravates me.
But you love him.
Why? Why is that?
I just feel like he does that with a lot of people. I don't think there's a candidate. I don't think there's any politician out there who I agree with more on issues, if you were to do one of those political compass useless tests, than Rand Paul.
Right.
But I do, and I say that because you can just see other people getting irritated here when he was talking with Assistant Health Secretary Rachel Levine, doctor, and providing actual scientifically accurate medical information. And you can just see the frowns. We have a clip, and then we have Senator Rand Paul.
Do you support the government intervening to override the parent's consent to give a child puberty blockers, cross-sex hormones, and/or amputation surgery of breasts and genitalia? You have said that you're willing to accelerate the protocols for street kids. Will you make a more firm decision on whether or not minors should be involved in these decisions?
Senator, transgender medicine is a very complex and nuanced field. And if confirmed,
well, thanks for informing the practicing doctor.
I would certainly be pleased to come to your office and talk with you and your staff about the standards of care and the complexity of this field.
Let it go into the record that the witness refused to answer the question. The question is a very specific one. Should minors be making these momentous decisions? For most of the history of medicine, we wouldn't let you have a cut sewn up in the ER. But you're willing to let a minor take things that prevent their puberty, and you think they get that back?
It's a trick question.
I love it.
They don't.
They do not.
I love it.
By the way, talk about reverse logic. This was a video that was banned from YouTube at the LGBTQ town hall where they were teaching people how to transition children and get it funded by the government. And I asked them, I posed as someone who had a transgender child. They said, look, you give them the puberty blockers, and then if they decide that they're not trans, you take them off it, and they probably go back. It's like, oh, hold on a second. How about we do the opposite of that?
We not.
And how about that doesn't work the right way? He asked the question, they don't just get that back. You put them on these puberty blockers for a reason. And what are they making these decisions at 12, 13, 14 years old? Sometimes even 6. Yeah, I was about to say, sometimes even earlier on in life. They're not capable of making this. And all Rand Paul did was say, I have a legitimate question that parents across the country right now are asking. By the way, it's not just can the kid make the decision. It is at what point does a 7-year-old get tied up with an activist group that then takes the right of their parents away so that the kid can make the decision legally, even if their parents disagree.
That logic would be like, so look, you guys have done fitness videos for a long time. That's how he became really popular, and they're strapping young lads. So it would be like someone coming to you for fitness advice, right? Being like, hey, look, I haven't done anything. What should I do? And you go, look, take Trenbolone, and then afterward, if you find it doesn't give you the results you want, you can just go to, lifting weights and eating right.
Right. But, that's between consenting adults,
No,
but
exactly.
It's illegal, but it's consenting adults. I don't see what's the rush with a small child. They can't even consent. They are not even at the legal age of consent. How could you let a small child remove his genitalia or female and take puberty blockers is just sick. It's just beyond reason.
It is beyond. Think about that. That's one thing that people don't talk about. They are not of the age of consent sexually, but they are making decisions that can forever change their sex life. Imagine this, right? It's part of the wonderment of life. When you go through puberty, you know, that first time, maybe for me it was that.
It was awesome. I was like, look, there's hair growing.
Yeah. I was like, that part of the Jerry Maguire tape got a little bit worn. Ooh. We didn't have the internet back then. But the point is,
just VCRs.
The point is, imagine that you think your parents have done right by you. You get put on, or you get a sex change, puberty blockers, and then once you reach your teenage years, you find out that you're one of the significant percentage of transgender individuals who will never be able to, being blunt, achieve an orgasm.
Oh, what? I would just, man, it's no point in living.
That's what I'm saying.
That's why I wake up.
I don't think they put that in the questionnaire.
Go ahead.
That's why I wake up in the morning.
For what?
To bust nuts.
I knew that's what it was going to say.
Ain't nothing like a black man busting his nuts.
Oh my gosh. Do y'all have some merch for that? Like,
I just want to go deep inside.
Okay.
All right, okay. This is a family show.
We were assuming that it was, corn nuts.
That's a good thing.
Especially if you're doing it in a circus tent in the USSR on your honeymoon.
Yeah.
Why do more people not talk about the fact that Bernie Sanders went to the Soviet Union for his honeymoon?
Yeah. By the way, this wasn't like last year or something like that. This is when it was really unpopular.
This is when it was really bad.
It's like going to South Africa during apartheid.
And by the way, that wasn't his decision. His wife was like, I don't know, man, Bora Bora, maybe St. Lucia. She's like, how do you feel about fighting a bear for toilet paper? I booked the tickets, no return flight. All right.
Leningrad.
We have Senator Rand Paul. We just showed that clip of him with Dr. Rachel Levine. Senator Rand Paul, can you hear me, sir?
Good morning. It sounds kind of crazy. I'm not sure I want to be on.
Smart man.
It is.
I'm not sure I want to be hosting. But I appreciate. I just showed that clip of you with Dr. Rachel Levine. First off, my question to you, Senator Rand Paul, is how did it feel to have someone sitting there at this hearing informing you of the subtle and nuanced details of transgender medicine, of which I'm sure you were not privy?
Yeah, I thought, maybe Dr. Levine was going to say, now, son, you can't understand this, and I'll come and talk to you. Bless your heart. We're just not sure you can understand the nuances of giving little kids hormones that change their sexual appearance. But no, I think that when you look at the actual issue, it's horrifying to think that the people Biden is appointing would actually say that a 10-year-old's opinion would override their parents' consent. So a parent says, no, don't get anywhere near my kid. And the 10-year-old says, oh, I want to go to a gender clinic. And all of these people who have already become activists and zealots for this, many of whom have done the surgery to themselves, are there telling your 10-year-old kid how brave they are and how it's a great thing for their kid to want to do this. And the parents object, and they would take a 10-year-old's word over their parents or 10-year-old's opinion. See, I think that nobody in America believes that. I think maybe less than 1% of America actually think that's a good thing.
Right.
But everybody's afraid of the media because the media will beat the hell out of you and say you're a big hater if you bring it up.
Well, yeah, you were trending on Twitter as transphobic that day. When again, it used to be that you could say, look, you want to put on a dress, put on makeup as an adult, do whatever you want to do. That's fine. It doesn't infringe. As a more libertarian-minded person, it doesn't infringe on my life. The only issue is when we're talking about women's sports. But it used to be, and by used to, I mean 2 years ago, still a relatively safe position to say, but you can't let kids transition. They're saying, oh, no, we don't want to let kids transition. The good news is, if she were to call you son, you could demand some testosterone pills, throw her for a loop.
Yeah, because that would be some kind of gender hate crime to refer to me by my gender at all. So, no, I think the thing about it is when you talk about this, they're also lying to you. They're saying, oh, it's all reversible. Well, there's two different things they want to do to your children. First, they want to delay puberty. There is a certain reversibility to that drug. But when they get to be 14, they give a girl massive amounts of testosterone, enough to grow a beard better than your beard, probably.
That's not saying much.
Yeah. But
see what I was saying? I was saying this before. Senator Rand Paul is the person with whom I agree the most and still irritates me.
But here's the thing is, you give a 14-year-old girl that much testosterone that she grows a beard, she doesn't go back to the appearance of a girl. It changes things forever, and a 14-year-old can't make this decision. But they begin grooming these children at 10 because the so-called psychological evaluation is a bunch of people who have changed their sexual appearance through surgery or hormones, telling the child it's okay. Do you think anybody is at the gender dysphoria clinic saying, well, you might be careful, this could be permanent, and maybe you'll change your mind?
Right.
The American College of Pediatrics has looked at this, and 85 to 90% of these children who are confused work it out and end up not doing this if you leave them alone, don't give them medicine, and don't affirm and coach them into believing that it's a good idea. Left to their own sort of desires, most kids will kind of grow out of this. There's a large association.
It's actually over 90%. It's up to 98 depending where you. I think the source you use was 90, but it depends on the age. Where you do the cutoff. It's up to 96 or 98%. Now, people don't know this. The number of children who transition, if you put them on hormone blockers, is 0. So there's a direct correlation right there between intervention, which we know in any other scenario obviously would be considered medically risky, and the outcome of the child.
Yeah. And but this is a bigger debate, even just beyond the specific issue of whether or not children should override their parents' wishes at such a young age, and to do something that I think is potentially irreversible. And I think it's really just a crime and should be considered to be child abuse. And yet this is being mainstreamed, and these people will be in charge of a $1 trillion budget at HHS.
Right.
So, and a lot of that budget will go towards government care of children. So will this Dr. Levine be able to get her radical views into the minds of children? Well, when you have a $1 trillion budget, I'm sure this doctor will find a way.
Yeah, but with HHS, $1 trillion is like a take a penny, leave a penny jar. One of my co-hosts here, Gerald, has a question, I believe, and then we're going to have to go to YouTube only because they don't like this.
Yes, Senator, I had a question. We have
Mug Club only.
The Mug Club, yes. We have the party of science, right, on the other side saying you have to always follow the science, follow the science. Well, how can we when they keep changing what science is? I think, isn't that the point you're bringing up? Like, you guys are not following the science?
Especially as a doctor, yeah.
Well, actually, and nowhere is this more apparent than all the COVID. There's been a million different opinions by Dr. Fauci. He's been on both sides of every issue. But the one thing consistent about Dr. Fauci is that when he lies to you, he's lying for your own good because you're not smart enough. You're not smart enough to make decisions. You might choose not to be vaccinated if he tells you that herd immunity takes 90%. So he's been telling you 70% because he wants to convince you to take a vaccine. Likewise, on the masks, the reason he has admitted that he lied, I don't know what the lie was because masks probably don't help at all anyway. But he says, oh, the mask will help. The mask will, but he didn't want you to buy the N95s because the N95s are the only mask that actually probably works to a certain degree. That's the one the doctors use, and he was afraid that the public would buy them and there wouldn't be enough. So he lied or misspoke or told you what he thought you were capable of hearing at your low intellectual level. And this is a problem. This is, Fauci is the paragon of elitism, and that he knows better than the rest of us. But in a free society, it's the opposite. Every individual assesses their own risk, whether you're going to cross the road, whether you're going to wait for a green light, whether you're going to get in a car, whether you're going to get on a motorcycle, whether you wear a helmet, whether you take a vaccine, whether you get the disease. Those are individual decisions in a free society, and we can't forget that.
And before we go to Mug Club only here really quickly, didn't he mock you on the mere concept of herd immunity, or am I misremembering that?
At every point that he disagreed with me, he turned out to be wrong when you examine the evidence.
Wow.
And that's a surprise. That's a shocker. But I'll give you probably the worst one, and this one hasn't been publicized. In our first meeting in March of last year, as the disease was just starting to go through that first peak, I raised my hand and said, Dr. Fauci, don't you think in some of these very sick individuals that high-dose steroids might work? We've used it in other conditions like this where the lungs fill with fluid as a last gasp sort of thing. And he says, oh, no, we've tried that. That doesn't work. Well, it turns out the most important thing you get if you have to be put on a ventilator is IV steroids at a high dose to try to save your life, and it's actually brought down the mortality by 80% using IV steroids. So he's wrong on everything. He's wrong on immunity.
Wow.
He said, oh, kids could get sick and they might have Kawasaki's disease. Turns out the death rate among those under age 25 is 1 in a million. It's less than the seasonal flu. Now, it's more dangerous than the flu for older people, but for younger people, this is actually less dangerous than the seasonal flu.
So for young people, 1 in a million, you're
One in a
saying
million.
there's a chance. All right, we're going to go really quickly to Mug Club only. Everyone watching here, send your questions for Senator Rand Paul, Dr. Rand Paul. YouTube, thank you, but we don't know where this is going, so you can, I'll be polite. You know what to do, YouTube.